Hello and welcome to News Now. I am Deji Badimasi. Following the resignation of 7 ministers from his cabinet last week, Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan Wednesday approved the appointment of temporary ministers to take up the positions of those that resigned. Announcing this to State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting, the President directed the Minister of State, second now for Foreign Affairs, Nuruddin Mohammed, to take over as a supervising Minister of Information pending the time a substantive minister is named. The position became vacant following the exit of Labaran Mako, who resigned from the cabinet to enable him contest the forthcoming governorship election in Nasarawa State. Minister of State First, Foreign Affairs, Professor Viola Ongolere, is also expected to take over as a substantive Minister of State Education following Nyesom Wike's resignation, while Minister of Defense, Lieutenant General Aliyu Gusau, will now double as the Minister of State for Defense following the resignation of Musili Obanikoro. The Minister of Special Duties, Taminu Turaki, will act as the Supervising Minister of Labour and Productivity. Now, all the temporary appointments made by President Jonathan are Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Olusegun Aganga, who will now combine his duties with that of the Minister of State now for the same ministry, while the Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs, Dr. Stephen Oru, will double as the Minister of State of the same ministry. Dr. Kaliru Al-Hassan, who is the Minister of State for Health, is now to act as the Minister of Health. Now, except for Ongolere's deployment, all other appointments were in acting capacity pending the time new ministers are appointed to fill the vacancies. Nigeria's Acting Inspector General of Police, Sulaiman Abba, has ordered a thorough audit of the forces' armories nationwide. A statement signed Wednesday by police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu, ACP in Abuja, said the directive was part of measures aimed at strengthening accountability of police weaponry. According to him, the exercise, which had already begun, would cover all commands, formations, stations and units across the country. He added that this would also enable the force to review the current state of arms and ammunition in its stocks at the various armories. Nigeria's House of Representatives Wednesday urged the federal government to thoroughly investigate the rising killing of Nigerians in Dubai. It said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Nigerian Embassy in Dubai should conduct the investigation within 1 month and report back to the House. In a session presided over by the Speaker Aminu Tambuwal, the House passed the resolution following a motion it received on the latest death of the son of a former governor of Bayelsa State, Diepria Lameseya, in Dubai. The motion was sponsored by the Chairman, House Committee on Diaspora Affairs, Abike Dabiri Erewa. The House said it was disturbed that the circumstances surrounding the death of the 24-year-old Oyoms Lameseya were conflicting and unclear. It noted that while one account indicated he died on the staircase of his father's house, another claimed that he was killed at a different location. Now, while leading the debate on the motion, Dabiri Erewa told the House that the conflicting accounts pointed to an attempt to cover up what appeared to be murder. Another killing that was pointed out was the murder of Toba, the son of sports journalist Aisha Falode, also in Dubai a few months ago. Dabiri Erewa said both deaths took a similar pattern. She also said that besides the two recent cases, a number of deaths of Nigerians have occurred in Dubai without investigation. Members passed the motion unanimously without further debate. Nigeria's opposition All Progressives Grand Alliance Wednesday released the guidelines for the conduct of its primaries to select candidates for the 2015 general elections and pegged the amount of the collection of governorship forms at 12 million naira. The party, however, said it reserves the right and discretion to issue expression of interest and nominations forms at any time before the scheduled primaries. The schedule of activities was released after a meeting of its National Working Committee in Abuja. Sani Shinkafi, National Secretary of ABGA, said women aspirants shall pay only 50% of the fees for the nomination forms. According to him, the purchase and return of forms for the expression of interest and nomination begins October 27th and ends November 4th. The party pegged its governorship form at 12 million naira, which comprises the expression of interest form for 2 million naira, while the nomination form goes for 10 million naira. Now, for the State Houses of Assembly, the expression of interest form goes for 200,000 naira, while the nomination form is 1 million naira. For House of Representatives, the expression of interest form is 500,000 naira, while the nomination form is 2 million naira, while the expression of interest form for the Senate sells for 500,000 naira. The nomination form actually sells for 3 million naira. Similarly, while the State Assembly and National Assembly expression of interest forms and nomination forms are obtainable at the State Secretariat of APGA, the expression of interest forms and nomination forms for governorship seats are obtainable at the National Secretariat of APGA in Abuja. Man, you need to be a rich man to contest election in this country. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll look at other stories.
The search for the next Nigerian Investigative Reporter of the Year is on. The Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism, WSCIJ, requests entries for the 9th Wole Soyinka Award for Investigative Reporting from Nigerian professional reporters with investigative reports published between 4th October 2013 and 3rd October 2014. Categories: print, radio, online, local government, sports, television, photography, climate change, cartoon, health, and report women. Do you fit the bill? Submit your entries by the deadline Friday, 24th October 2014 at the WSCIJ office, 55 Awolowo Way, Ikeja, Lagos. Visit www.wscij.org or call 080-2439-5083 for more details. Investigative reporting is the vital force for the restoration of human dignity.
Welcome back. A gunman has shot and killed a soldier at a war memorial in Ottawa, Canada, and then ran into the Parliament building where he exchanged gunfire with police, Canadian authorities said Wednesday. One suspected gunman was shot dead inside the Parliament building after at least 30 shots were fired in the dramatic scenes in the heart of the Canadian capital, which now partially remains on lockdown as police hunt for more suspects. A statement by Ottawa police confirmed the soldier near the National War Memorial in central Ottawa had died from his injuries. The shooting came hours after Canada raised its terror threat level after another soldier was killed on Monday in a hit-and-run attack by a Muslim convert. The country had earlier this month announced plans to join the US-led campaign of airstrikes against Islamic State IS militants in Iraq, but there's no confirmation any of this week's attacks are linked to IS or the new military campaign. The latest incident began when soldiers guarding the memorial came under fire on Wednesday morning. According to reports, Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper was addressing cabinet when gunfire erupted in the building. He was later safely removed from the building and Parliament was locked down. Meanwhile, there's no word yet on the identity of any suspect or suspects or any motive for the shooting, as no group has claimed responsibility for the attack. The World Health Organization's Emergency Committee on Ebola Wednesday met to discuss the scope of the outbreak and whether additional measures are needed. The meeting, which held in Geneva, examined screening measures at borders and considered whether stricter travel regulations should be put in place. This is the third time the committee will meet since August to evaluate the Ebola situation, and since then, much has happened. There have been cases in Spain and the United States of America, while Senegal and Nigeria have been removed from the list of countries affected by Ebola. WHO has faced criticism that it had reacted too slowly to the spread of the disease. The committee, made up of 20 independent experts, can recommend travel and trade restrictions, as they have already recommended exit screening of passengers from Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. Meanwhile, all U.S.-bound passengers from Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea must land in one of the 5 U.S. airports with enhanced screening for Ebola. The airports are New York's JF Kennedy International, Washington Jules, New Jersey's Newark Liberty International, Chicago's O'Hare International, and Hartsfield-Jackson International in Atlanta. Now, more than 4,500 people have died from Ebola from those 3 West African countries. Trial drugs for the dreaded Ebola virus and collection of survivors' blood for treating patients would get underway in West Africa within the coming week, so says the World Health Organization. Speaking in Geneva Wednesday, Head of Health Information Mary Kenny said WHO and partner organizations were currently selecting treatment centers in Guinea, Liberia and Sierra Leone to conduct trials of experimental Ebola drugs. Kenny said, as advised by WHO and international experts, drug companies had been working to fast-track Ebola drugs and vaccines development by testing them directly in West Africa. She, however, said that there could be infection risk for other blood-borne illnesses, including hepatitis and HIV. Early on Wednesday, the UN Health Agency said the first batches of an experimental vaccine developed by Canada's Public Health Agency against Ebola are due to arrive in Switzerland. Meanwhile, freelance cameraman Ashoka Mukbo, who contracted Ebola in West Africa, has been declared free of the virus and will leave hospital in the U.S. state of Nebraska on Wednesday. The 33-year-old was working for NBC News when he tested positive for Ebola in Liberia. Well, can we just say congratulations to that man? Honestly, wonderful to escape Ebola. Now let's turn to sports. Great news for Nigeria as the Super Falcons beat South Africa's Banyana 2-1 Wednesday in Windhoek, Namibia, to qualify for the final match of the 9th African Women Championship. In the semi-final match played at the Sam Nujoma Stadium, Asisat Oshoala scored twice in the first half to keep the 6 times African champions from losing. South Africa came back into the game in the 68th minute after a disputed goal, even though it was not just enough to beat the Falcons. The Nigerian side thus kept up the record of qualifying for every FIFA Women's World Cup since 1991, a record matched only by Brazil, Germany, Norway, Sweden, and the United States. The Falcons had qualified for the maiden event in China in 1991, Sweden in 1995, the US in 1999 and 2003, China in 2007, and of course Germany in 2011. Nigeria will now meet the winners of the other semi-final fixture between Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire on Saturday for a chance to win the AWC title, a record 7th time. They had won the competition almost every 2 years since its inception in 1998, except in 2008 and 2012 when Equatorial Guinea won the titles. Well, congratulations to the Falcons. Now, controversy has already begun trailing the 2015 African Cup of Nations before it's even set to begin, as yet another country may decline to host the tournament. Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama says the country is yet to take any decision to host the AFCON. State-owned graphic newspaper Tuesday quoted him as saying in London that the government would critically weigh the options before arriving at any decision on whether to host the tournament or not. The Confederation of African Football (CAF) had written to Ghana to consider hosting the tournament following the request by the original host Morocco for postponement due to the outbreak of Ebola, which has killed over 4,500 people in West Africa. Well, President Mahama has said he will take the best interests of Ghanaians at heart because as president, he wouldn't want the deadly Ebola virus to spread into Ghana. He said, quote, "If Morocco expresses concern about the Ebola disease for which they want postponement, we're going to look at that carefully before we take a decision whether to host AFCON or not." End of quote. Mahama, however, indicated actually that Ghana was going ahead with its bid for the 2017 tournament because the country had the wherewithal to host it. Ghana is among 6 other countries also considered as possible replacements. The identities of the other 5 countries have not been officially revealed. The president's statement comes a day after South Africa says it would not step in as host for the 2015 tournament scheduled to hold in January, which is barely 3 months from now. Can they just bring this tournament to Nigeria? At least, if no country is accepting, we can actually manage with the few stadiums we have. At least we can still manage to do something. Let's turn our attention now to the English Premiership. Now, English Premiership League club Sunderland players have set a dangerous example for underperforming teams in this season's league. After losing 8-0 at Southampton on Saturday, Sunderland players offered to refund the cost of match tickets to 2,500 travelling supporters. The fans who made the 1,026-kilometer round trip from the northeast of England to the south coast were left highly disappointed after their favourite team suffered a terrible defeat. Well, in order to make amends, Sunderland captain John O'Shea told the club's website that his team was going to refund the travelling fans the cost of their tickets for their troubles. He said the gesture would cost the Sunderland squad as much as $100,000 and any unclaimed money will be donated to charity. No word on what the management of Sunderland really thinks of this gesture because they haven't said anything yet. However, club manager Gus Poyet said the team's heaviest Premier League loss was his most embarrassing moment in football. Sunderland scored 2 own goals, which included a calamitous 18-yard volley from Argentine Santiago Vergini. The ignominious defeat, which was Sunderland's biggest in 32 years, also left the club 1 spot above the relegation zone after 8 games. Well, how do I describe this? Wonderful from the players. You lose a match by 8 goals, you say no, you refund the fans now. You refund them the money for their tickets. Quite a wonderful gesture, but then it's a dangerous precedent because if another team goes on to lose probably by 5, 6, 7 goals, the fans of that team now would be expecting their players to refund their ticket money. Let's see what happens. I know in Nigeria, well, who knows? It just might happen. We don't know. We never can tell. We'll just wait and see when that happens. Because I remember the last time a team actually was beaten by, was it 13 goals or so? Yeah. The team never refunded the ticket money of its fans. But you never can tell. It just can happen. Thank you very much for watching. We're back again tomorrow.